Welcome to Martini Time. So, it's been a cloudy, looking like rain day here in Virginia, but we didn't get any rain, so we're getting kind of dry. Last night, for our Friday night movie, we watched The Full Monty. Do you remember that movie? It was about a English steel town that went steel left, just like the American steel towns, and so everybody was depressed, and the workers were all without jobs, and they were all depressed, and so this group of fellas saw some Chippendale dancers, and they got this bright idea that they could become a Chippendale dancer and restore their dignity by doing the Full Monty. Now, I never, the Full Monty is like all off. The Full Monty. So I don't know if the Full Monty was a word before that movie or if the movie made the word, but everybody knows what the Full Monty is now. It's going all the way. Exposing yourself all the way, going through the boundaries, going beyond the pale, going beyond stretching the envelope. The Full Monty, the works, the mad leap onto the last shadow of Avatar, the Full Monty. So this so they go through all the anxiety of learning how to dance, and they're going to do it, and it was kind of like coming up to Facebook Live. You kind of I have no idea what I'm going to say, but you just turn it on and do it. See, this just do it type of thing, the Nike commercial. So they're like, and one thing about when you have a group of men, nobody can really chicken out because they all kind of like, nobody wants to be the one to bail out, to be the coward, to be chicken, you see. So they all kind of like carry themselves forward. So they end up finally doing it. And the reason they did it basically is because they were practicing in an abandoned warehouse, and they got arrested for exposure. And so then there were headlines: steel strippers. Steel strippers arrested. So now all the women wanted tickets. So what do you mean? We sold 400, 500 tickets? So they had to do it. So the thing was filled up with women, and begging them to do it. They're going to do the Full Monty. And so finally they came out and did it. And of course the show ended with them grabbing the jock strap and throwing it off, and they're all like, because the movie shows the back Monty instead of the front Monty, but they all did it, and and then it was a really fun movie. We had a Friday night movie. We had 8 women here and me, and all the women loved it. But these movies are there's a basic formula to them that we all really enjoy. And so basically, a new movie comes up with new content, but the formula is the same. The formula is the transcendence of a conflict, where and so you have to leap over. Go beyond what your fears, go beyond your fear in order to be whole again. So it's really about, the Full Monty is really about being whole, about being authentic, about being real, you see, and not being afraid of exposing yourself, not being afraid of being vulnerable. See, so the men, ironically, regained their dignity by being vulnerable. See, so so the message in these movies are basically liberating messages. When Marshall McLuhan says the medium is the message, what he's saying there, the medium is the message. Well, the medium is the delivery system, the plot, the pattern is the message, and not the particular content of the story. You know, whether it's in, it could be in a British steel town, it could be an American steel town, it could be anywhere. And the people could be anyone who is dispossessed and lost their center and devalued and loss of power and dignity and all of that, you see. And so they come together to heal themselves by doing some mad leap on the last shadow, like an avatar, an insane act. You see, so the whole idea is that it's only through an insane, illogical act that you can heal the contradictions in your life. Because logic won't do it. You see, they couldn't find a job. They couldn't find a way out by following the rules. They couldn't get a job by going through all the steps in the interviews. And they were trying, you see, but they couldn't do it. So there had to be some mad leap that no one ever thought of before, that they never thought of before, that they never thought they could do. A mad leap, you see, an insane act, you see. Zorba the Greek says, unless a man has a little madness, he'll never cut the rope and be free, you see. A little madness, you see, a little madness. And madness is irrational, illogical. Why are you doing that? That's no good, that won't work. Why do you want that? See, that's the logic, that's the rational. The rational answer, well, that's not rational, that's not logic, that won't work. And so, you don't do it unless you have no choice, unless you reach the end of the rope, unless you're at the end of the pirate's plank, unless you're compelled, you must do it, you see. That your life is making you do it, that your healing is making you do it. You can't go back. Once you have this, the idea of healing, the idea of being whole, you can't go back into prison. You can't go back into contraction, you see. So if you do, you can't stay because, my nose is running, you can't stay because you know there's freedom. You know the path to freedom, you see, which is that mad leap, you know. And so a lot of the movies are about that mad leap, that even Bonnie and Clyde, in the sense that they were depression, so he made the mad leap of becoming a bank robber. And the metaphor of the movie, while bank robbing is bad and all that, but he leaped into it fully. I'm a bank robber, I rob banks, and he loved it. So you see this whole idea, so that we get confused by the content, because movies will use any content. It'll use the good guy and the bad guy, the gangster and the cop, you see, for the content. But the message, you see, the medium is the message, the delivery system is the message. Just like with cigarettes. The message is not the pleasure in the cigarettes. The medium is the message. The delivery system is the message. The message is nicotine and addiction. You see? So the advertising says, oh, the message is Lucky Strikes are toasted. They're a great pleasure, you see. But that was the superficial message. The real message was you're going to get addicted. You know, this is a nicotine delivery system. So a movie is a delivery system of a universal message, of a truth, and movies use different content, different characters, different situations, and all that. And but we respond to the movie with joy because we vicariously feel and identify with the characters who are going through a transcendent evolution out of a conflict that has no resolution into a new world, a new view of themselves, a new identity, a new being, you see. So this Even Wallander, which I just finished, the series I just finished, which has been haunting me because the acting was so good by Kenneth Branagh, the Shakespearean actor. So the whole series, he is in conflict with his work. In other words, he's a cop. That's what he does. But he's conflicted, but he's torn apart by the murders and the tragedy and the pain. He feels the pain. He cries of the horror that he experiences. He feels the pain. And we feel the pain. We feel the suffering that he feels over these murders and crimes and death and mayhem, you see. So he's this compassion. He feels it. And yet he's compelled to do it because that's what he does. He can't not do what he is good at. So he has to do what it's good at, but it's killing him because he's such a compassionate, you see. And so the whole movie is this play between the horror of the crime and his emotional involvement with the pain of his crime. It wasn't just an objective 9-to-5 job. And this just a little digression here, but this is another murder series we watched was Midsummer Mysteries, and these were in the traditional detective things where you have a detective and he's got a wife and they have little household difficulties and humorous things, and he goes out and solves this murder and corpses, and at the end, then when he solves it, he goes back home and he has tea. You know, like it was just a day's work, and everything is solved, you see. The crime and the suffering is totally objective. It's more of an intellectual thing, you know, solving a puzzle, and he goes home and he has dinner and everything, all order is restored and everything. Well, the modern mysteries are not like that, you see. So with Wallander, the detective doesn't leave his work. I mean, he comes home and broods and drinks and has depression and all of these things because of what he's seen. It's like post-traumatic syndrome. You know, he gets post-traumatic syndromes from these crimes, and he can't be whole. He can't leave it, and he can't stay. You see, so what am I going to do? I can't swallow it. I can't cough it up. This hairball, you see. And so the movie solves this emotionally because his father had Alzheimer's, and he gets Alzheimer's, and then he fights that. But then in the end, he's happy. He's walking on the beach with his dog and his daughter, and he says, I'm okay. And he really smiles for the first time in the whole movie. He's really, even though he has Alzheimer's, and he said, you know, well, I watched a young girl burn herself to death. I could forget that. I'd like to forget that. So he's really welcoming Alzheimer's. He's saying it's okay. It's okay. And he was happy, you see. So there again is while the movie uses the particular ingredients or content of the story of the writer, you see, but the formula, the medium is healing. The medium is coming to a resolution where you're okay. And so with the full Monty, when they stripped in front of 1,000 women, you know, boom, you know, they were okay. They were whole. They were not self-conscious or fearless. They had transcended fear. And so Wallander transcended fear by accepting. You know, so in each way, you see, these movies and these stories all have the same message. Transcend your fear. An insane idea will liberate you. An insane act that you never thought of can heal the contradictions that cannot logically be solved. When logic fails, madness will come to the rescue. When rationality and logic fails, an insane act will come to the rescue, you see. And I think, too, in a perverse way, these mass shooters that pop up cannot logically solve, cannot rationally solve the dissonance in their life. I don't know what the dissonance is, but it's intolerable. And so somewhere in their perverted mind, the idea comes to become a mass shooter, you know. And so they just do that. They just take that insane leap. And of course they die. But it's a perverted solution, you see. Oh, and this other movie I watched, this was really interesting. Spotlight. It was about the Boston Globe's documentary, research, investigation on the corruption of the Catholic priests. And so one priest said that, see, the contradiction in the celibate's life is that they have a natural desire for sex, but they are prohibited by the vocation. So this is a internal inconsistency that becomes intolerable for many people. My body wants sex, but my vocation says I can't have it. So what's the insane act that brings these two together? Well, this one priest said, basically he said, well, yes, I had sex with boys, but I didn't have any pleasure in it. So it wasn't sex, it wasn't a sin. It was a compulsion, you see. So the compulsion, I think, in these perversions is the insane act that temporarily heals the pain of the contradiction. But then it doesn't permanently do it because they have to keep repeating it. And it becomes an addiction or a compulsion. It's like their compulsion to do it. So it's not like I think I'll do it for pleasure. It's a compulsion. But anyway, maybe I'm digressing. But the whole point is that either in a positive way or a negative way, it's this insane act that heals the contradictions. And you become a new being by going beyond what you ever thought you could be, by going beyond the fear of being you. So the fear of being you drives our evolution to leap beyond who I am and create a new me. And that's the mad act, you see. The act of creating a new being, a new world, a new me that transcends the contradiction that I was before. You know, this or that. Can't choose this, can't choose that. What is it? One or the other. Can't choose, you see. The double bind, lose-lose. So anyway, I just, I tie dots together, particularly with movies. And as a matter of fact, I connect everything. I don't care. My mind is an integral mind, and it just connects disconnected, inconvenient dots, you see. And that's kind of an insanity too. That's kind of a madness. Well, what do you mean you connect? Why are you holding those two things up? Well, they don't have any relevance. There's this and there's that. There's no connection. But I see connections, you see, because I see the pattern behind the content, So anyway, I hope you hang in with me, and we've watched all of Wallander, and we've started a new mystery series called Murdoch Mysteries, and oh yes, and the Shakespeare, modern Shakespeare of the British movies, you see. And so everything I know I get from British Mysteries. So thanks for dropping in.